I'd like to welcome everyone to, now, Mindy, are we seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I'd like to welcome everyone to today's Lunch and Learn. This should be a good one. Today we have, as our feature presentation will be Air Force SBIR Contracting with Kim Yoder. Then we have a winning example that we want to share with you, and a few updates. So just to give you, kind of set the tone for how we're interacting today, the people that are live that you see in just a few minutes, you may ask questions while they're here, and hopefully they'll answer them. And then when we go into today's feature presentation, unfortunately, our speaker is here from a canned presentation, a very good one that we had with Tech Warrior Enterprise earlier this year. Unfortunately, she had a circumstance that she was not able to be here. She planned to be here afterwards for questions. So if you have questions, write them down. Give them to us, or you'll have her contact information. She welcomes those. So if you've got follow-up questions, we welcome those. Just to let you know that due to circumstances we couldn't control, she's not here in person to answer the question portion. With that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to John Matecki with Tech Warrior Enterprise.
Thanks, Alan. Just wanted to update. This was our first week. We've got a couple more here after this, so I've got a couple minutes in between, so thank you for allowing me to jump on and give you guys an update. So we've talked to quite a few companies this week, so I'm really excited for what's to come with Encountering Innovation. A lot of great products and a lot of change for the warfighter. So I'm really stoked about what's coming out of the entrepreneurs that really is going to change the way we do business from a warfighter. So thank you for those of you that may be on the call that have already chat with us this week. Hopefully it was very informative and that we've helped you. If you're a tech coach, please help your folks, because we've pointed them back to you to start linking them up and get them going. So everyone's excited to start working with our tech coaches. So really great week. We're looking to go into next week to where we're going to have more companies. We do currently have 10 slots. That's all we have available for next week. So if you have not yet registered with us to do your demonstration performance, please do so. And we ask that you come prepared. So if you haven't seen the video from 3 weeks ago, please reach out to Vicki, Alan, or Mindy to get that, so that you know what you're walking into, rather than eat up a whole bunch of time of rehashing. But be ready to show and tell your product. So great week. Looking forward to next week, and then really looking forward to getting out in Kansas. Dan and I are physically going to be in Kansas, so we're going to help with the team wherever we can. If there's anything that we can do for any of you folks that are small businesses, please reach out. So if there's any questions, I'll hang out for a couple minutes. If they come through the chat, I'll respond to them the best I can. Otherwise, I will drop off about quarter after. Again, thank you so much for letting us be part of this, Alan. This is a great program. Encountering Innovations, top notch. If you guys are still on the fence, it's one of the best events that we've had the privilege to be part of. So if there's questions, I'll stick around for a little bit. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Alan. Thanks again for having me.
Great. Thanks, John. For those of you, we've heard from some of our innovators that have already experienced doing their demo, learning a lot, opening up their eyes, and giving them an even improved perspective from the warfighter. The more, no matter who you're pitching to, if you can understand and focus on your audience, you always do better. So having John and Dan with Tech Warrior Enterprise to be able to go over your product, your your product, your innovation, this is a very good opportunity. So thank you so much. I don't think we see any questions yet, so I was going to scoot on over to Sherry Geegan at Wichita State and let her give you a little bit of a reminder of what's coming up.
Hi, I'm Sherry Geegan, as Alan mentioned, with Wichita State University here in Kansas. And I would echo what John said about the Encountering Innovation being a great event and a really wonderful opportunity for small businesses. And I've had the opportunity to participate the last couple of years, and I don't have enough good things to say. So with that being said, we just wanted to let you guys know about an opportunity coming up next week. We're having the program director for the SBIR Department of Navy speak, Bob Smith. I don't know if any of you know him, but he's a great guy and a great speaker, very willing to have a discussion and answer questions and be, you know, as honest as he can be. So great speaker, great opportunity with the pre-release for the Navy SBIR Sttr solicitations opening August 25th for the pre-release period, and then the full open September 23rd, and those BAAs will close on October 22nd. So great timing and opportunity for you guys to learn about some of the changes going on with their program and ask questions regarding the current topics. The registration link is on the slide. I know Alan's going to be sending that out. There's no cost for registration now, and it is a virtual opportunity via webinar. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. You know, some of our technology sometimes has to remind me that I've got my Bluetooth connected to my phone there and to my head for the computer. So I got pulled out for a second. Sorry about that. So a question I have for you is, what kind of support do you have for those that attend the webinar afterwards? Give us a little bit of an insight on strategic initiatives, just a 1 minute bluff.
Sure. We're available to help small businesses do searches for topics, solicitation matching, not only for the Navy, but for other agencies as well. We can help you with your proposal development strategy, details on the financial aspects and technical aspects of the proposal. Of course, we don't write them for you, but we can provide guidance and assistance and feedback and connect you with other resources that can help with proposal development as well. And then we can do post-award and assistance and I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. But basically general guidance through the entire process for SBIR and Sttr. If you're interested in an Sttr program, of course, being at the university, we can help connect you to resources within WSU, as well as other university and federal lab resources that you might be interested in, not just Wichita State.
Great. Thank you very much. So yeah, we've got her information. We've got the information here. This will be in your slide deck after we're through, so you're able to follow up. And if you get confused, you can always reach out to each of us. All right. Thank you, Sherry.
We do have a couple of questions.
All right.
The first question is the event open to folks outside of Kansas?
Absolutely. Yes, it's open to anyone that wants to attend.
Okay, and the second question is, experience suggests that 94% of all SBIR, Sttr are granted to military research and academic institutions and only 6% for small businesses. Is this correct?
I don't know the exact figures, but it sounds a little heavy, or a lot heavy to me on institutions. So
yeah, what I'll speak up and say, yeah, putting SBIR and Sttr together is probably a mistake. Sttr is required, you're requiring, they're requiring the small business to connect with either university or a lab, you're forced to, if you will, but not with SBIR. But in both cases, the first two names of this is small business.
Right, so you have to be a small business to be the applicant on an SBIR STTR. So there might be involvement with a university or institution on either SBIR or STTR. Like Alan said, it's required on STTR, but the small business is the applicant and the awardee.
Yeah. So I would not have a clue where that percentage came from. I would say that was pretty much very erroneous.
Maybe
okay,
but not, yeah.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. I think we're good on questions. We're going to skip on. We are now proud to introduce Kevin Kowalik with HCI Energy. Kevin is a client of ours. They have presented at Encountering Innovation, and they've got some really good information for us today. So for those of you that have questions, from an experience point of view, we don't want to blow up an hour of time for Kevin, and we don't want to also sideswipe him here. But I do encourage, if you have questions, this is a good time. Kevin's here for the early part of the presentation, so we're excited to be able to congratulate them and ask them to come on because of our Air Force SBIR contracts presentation. We thought this was a good opportunity. Kevin?
Hey, thanks, Alan. Really appreciate the invite of being here. Like Alan said, I'm here to try to help guide you guys along the way. It wasn't very long ago that I was in your shoes as kind of a newbie, not understanding any of this stuff. And I am where I am today just because of perseverance, I guess. So real quick, I'll just give you a quick history of where we've been and kind of what we've been awarded year to date. And back in November of 2019, I did my very first how to do business with the government class. It was a 101 class. I had no idea, and started with that and then kind of worked my way. And like Alan said, last year we presented at Encountering Innovations. Also last year, right around June, I was introduced to the SBIR program and decided to go after the 19.2 cycle, an open topic within Afworks. One thing led to another, and we were awarded that phase 1 SBIR through Afworks open topic, and we followed that up with a phase 2 SBIR through Afworks, which is a demo testing, and we're doing that at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for a 19.3. So that was the end of last year, so it was pretty exciting. From there, we won another phase 1 through Afworks, 20.1. And then right after that, we won the Navy 20.4 phase 1. And so as you guys can tell, we've won 4 SBIR awards, 3 with Afworks, 1 with the Navy. Last week, it was just announced the Air Force has many different challenges. And last week, they had the winners announced for the Air Force Base of the Future, Installation Resilience. And they had many different categories, and ours was Power, and we won that award last week. And so that was very exciting for us to move along. So like I said, I've been in your shoes in the past, not knowing anything about what's going on, to now I feel like I have a general idea of how things are working. I can speak military and government acronyms, not very well, but enough to understand. And so I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have along the way. I've always told Alan and his team that, you know, I always want to pay it forward or pay it back. If there's anybody I can help mentor or work with, I have no problem doing that and answering these questions. So I think the SBDC and the team does a really good job of education, but you also have to get out there and put a little bit of work in as yourself. So I'll kind of stop from there and see if anybody has any questions, and we can move on.
So, Kevin, I've got my first question would be on your most recent participation with the Base of the Future. How much time chronologically from the time you heard about it to the time of the notification of the award, how much time passed?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that right now. The Air Force, just so everybody understands, is the fastest, in my opinion, the fastest branch of the military to move. They're on the cutting edge. I believe it was in February or March I think is when I submitted that. they're going through another challenge right now, and I'll give you an example of how it works. Is I was a part of a 3-day workshop this week. We put in 12 hours total. It was an energy workshop and what's next. It finished yesterday, and then within 8 days, the challenge will open up. This is how fast they work. And then from there, it goes parallel with you guys, what you were talking about. There's the SBIR 20.3 cycle. It goes in parallel with that, and then it will close, and they'll be nominating and be working forward, and all that will be done by the end of this year. So it's a matter of months, really. They work at warp speed in terms of the military typical timeline.
So we've got a couple of questions here. One says, Kevin, what positive results came from your participation in Encountering Innovation?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is it helps us prepare for what the military is looking for. So there's a couple different things that we had to put together and start to understanding, again, how to speak military, or how are we, what's the business case that we're putting forth to the military, because it might be a little different than it is commercially. So the quad chart, the Bluff, our presentation to the military, all of that were very positive results that helped us out, as well as, again, we're trying to socialize our technology to those guys, to the DoD. And so getting in front of the tech scouts was very, very beneficial. Great.
So another question says, talk about your IP and its role in with your company.
Mm-hmm. So our IP is what you can see there on the screen. We have what's called the hybrid cube. And what we do is we take an ISO standardized type of container, 20 foot, 10 foot, or 6 foot. We pack it in with renewable energy, battery storage, generator, fuel tank. And commercially, we sell it into telecom. So we have room in there for radios. For within the DoD, we make that space smaller because they don't need any end user gear. And so I'm assuming that you're talking about there's two different types of IP. I don't think it's individual patent, but we do have patents on our technology. And really what happens with our tech is we're able to power anything wherever you need power, whether it's on grid or off grid. Not sure if that quite answers the complete question, so please answer a follow-up if you need that.
So we've got another one. Could you further describe your experience with Afworks in terms of how you partnered with an Air Force customer? What was required to prove the partnership during your application, memorandum of understanding, letter of support, and any tips for success?
Yeah, no problem. So I'll be honest with everybody. Air Force, it has probably the lowest hurdle to get over to get a phase one. Okay, so they give those out. Their goal is to get more shots on goal. That's their terminology. So that way they can try to push as much technology as fast as they can. So that's great for a phase one. But within the phase two, you have to go out and find, at least for the open topic, you have to go out and find your own customer, your own end user. And I find that to be very, very difficult to do because you just can't Google Air Force, whatever it's going to be. It just doesn't happen. So I think that there's what they call the valley of death. How do you move from phase one to a phase two and trying to find an Air Force customer? I think that's difficult. And I know that there's many different ways that they're trying to lower the gap, I guess, if that makes sense. So I say that's tough. But then, once you find that end user and getting your MOU signed or the letter of support, commitment, anything like that, it's very easy because the end user, Air Force end customer, already knows what they're doing. They don't have to put up any money if they don't want to. That's no big deal. All you're trying to do is trying to prove out your technology, and they're willing to help you out. And the dollars are coming from the SBIR bucket of money. So in terms of that, that's the easy part. Just finding them I think is the most difficult part.
So Kevin, let me ask you a quick question. Going back to kind of the Encountering Innovation conference question, were you able to reach out through your socialization with the tech scouts that engaged you? Were you able to work through them or with them, or did you try to, in order to find some of these Air Force customers?
I did, but I did not. At that time, I think Encountering Innovations was about the same time I'd already found my MOU signer,
okay,
which I had met at a conference. So I went to a DoD energy conference, since we're in energy, and I was able to meet many, many different DoD personnel that are in energy. And one of those was AFRL, Air Force Research Labs, in which they were very interested. And since they'd already found out that I had a phase 1, they said I was low-hanging fruit for them, and we kind of moved forward. So, in terms of answer your question, I didn't really engage the tech scouts. I did talk with them about where I was in the process, but nothing for the phase 2.
Okay, so that's one of the things. I'll go back to David's question on that. David, that's one of the key. I think one of the key parts to the conference, and if everyone will remember, this conference is a moment in time. The SBDC goes on, so our job is to work with Kevin, HCI Energy, and others. Those that come in and pitch or poster board are those that consider and then back out and say, I don't think we're ready. We're still here for you. We're still trying to work with you and connect you. Getting in front of the tech scout assists us by in ways of introductions to potential customers, which is what this conference really is all about. So thank you, Kevin. Quick, one more says, roughly how much time and money did you, and I don't know how much of this you want to share, but how much time and money did you invest up front before winning your first contract?
So I'm assuming the contract is the phase 2, or is that the phase 1, Alan? How would you perceive that?
I'm guessing the first award. We'll answer it that. We'll ask the question that way, from the time to the first award.
Yeah, so the phase 1, very, very easy, low amount of time. Again, Air Force makes it as easy as possible. I think on a technical side of it, I think they have a 15-page slide deck, and they might have changed the requirements for this next cycle, but it used to be a 15-page technical, and it's a PowerPoint. It's very easy, and what they've told us is they want more pictures, more like pictures worth 1,000 words. So you don't have to have a writing background like you used to in the past, where you were writing a 30 or 40-page document to try to get these awards. It's a slide deck on PowerPoint and putting your ideas of how you're going to move this forward. So in terms of the phase 1, very low effort level. And at the time, they were awarding $50,000 as a max for that. So we won that. For the phase 2, a little bit more effort because I had to go out and find my own end user, Air Force end user. And I was fortunate enough to find them at this conference. But I would say that could take up a lot of time potentially if you don't have the contacts. And in the beginning, I had no contacts, didn't know who to go through in terms of trying to find that direct one. Now we have the SBDC, which is great. But again, the government is very large. It's very large, and sometimes there's a lot of people out there that it's hard to find them. So anyway, I think so that the phase 2 effort a lot harder in terms of money. If you want to count the cost to go to Encountering Innovations, which was nominal, or the time spent there, and also the time spent going to the conference and the money going to that, that was it. And then once you have that MOU signer, and then after that, it's fairly easy. You're just going through the step-by-step process that the Air Force puts out there. It gives you a lot of templates. And again, it's very, very easy to do on that phase 2. Once you receive the phase 2, you have to understand that they are very detail-oriented, and it takes a lot more time, but you also get paid for that.
Okay, so we've got one more question. Did you or do you have commercial customers prior to your Afworks phase 2?
Yes, we did have commercial customers before the phase 2. We sell currently into telecom. So any of the big boys that you can think of, we sell into, and we also sell internationally into telecom. So the ones that you haven't heard of. And then we also sell into the transportation industry. So we have had sales before we won our phase 1 and our phase 2. And it's more of a complementary thing. It's just another vertical for us in terms of sales. Takes a lot longer within the military. I know they're trying to speed it up, but it's better to get on that sooner rather than later. Again, that's the way we've done it.
So, Kevin, we've invited you to the Encountering Innovation Conference this year. Is that correct? You're speaking?
Correct. I'll be at two of them. I'll be at a roundtable at the very beginning, the first day, and then I'll be a panelist at another event.
Okay, so I'm going to, some of what you guys are asking, I think are part of the Air Force contracts presentation. So I don't want Kevin stealing all of Kim's thunder here. So Kevin, I sincerely appreciate your time participating today. I honestly think for our clients, hearing real world case study cases, live shaggy dog stories, are great for understanding and encouragement that someone else can try to do something. So very much thank you for participating today. We're going to move, I see some other questions, but I want to move into Kim Yoder's presentation. If you have questions, please write them down. What we will do is we'll send these to Kevin and have them, because the conference is coming up in just a few weeks, and where he can be ready with for the panelists. And we might be able to invite him back. We have EMP Shield coming, and I'll share that in just a second. But we'll have more opportunities for him to answer questions. So very quickly, want to remind everyone what's coming up. Next week, we have Sharp Hub going to be presenting with some examples, and then be able to help us understand how they're supporting in medical and life sciences, and talking specifically to NIH and I think NSF and some of their programs with SBIR. Then, as I just said, EMP Shield, who has not won an SBIR and has not, as of today, I don't believe they've received $1 from the DoD, and yet they will hit the gong, if you will, of how much they appreciate what has happened at Encountering Innovation and beyond that. So I don't mean that to toot our horns. I want you to understand that they're talking about it and how they're talking about how they were able to utilize Encountering Innovation for their benefit. So that's a really good one. Make sure you come, that you're here for the September 4th one. Let's Play Ball. We're going to have PTAC in here talking to us more on some of the things they do to help you dot the I's, cross the T's, and get ready in contracting. Then we have the conference, and then we've got some resource partners coming in on the Circle the Wagons after the conference on the 25th. I think with that in mind, we're ready, Mindy, for our feature presentation. This was condensed, so this is a Reader's Digest version. This is condensed from about 2 hours, including a lot of question and answers. So you will not hear her question and answers. We tried to cut out portions of what you've heard before from others, but hopefully this will be effective. I think it's 34 or 38 minutes, so it's a little bit of time, but she covers a lot of really good stuff. All right, Mindy.
I'm working on it.
Okay, no problem.
I wanted to make sure that the computer sound actually plays.
Next chart is chart number 7. So here we're getting into the award phases. Again, I apologize if you have seen a lot of this before, but I sort of wanted to set the stage. The SBIR Sttr program, as you may all know, is structured into 3 phases. There's a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And this graphic depicts those phases. However, the timeline where you see phase 1 is a year, phase 2 is 2 to 3 years, that has morphed over the last year. And I'm going to talk about how that has morphed. Those timelines have changed a little bit. And the program has changed significantly over the last year in working through our business practices and trying to streamline and make things more efficient. We've made some changes to the program, which I'm going to talk to you about. Moving on to chart 8. Chart 8 is what we call phase 0. It's really all about the topic. In the past, there were approximately 50 to 100 topics. Customers would come in and identify topics of need, basically. And those topics would come through the SBIR Sttr program. And then they would be solicited as part of the DoD SBIR Sttr solicitation, a BAA or broad agency announcement. And we still do that. We still do the broad agency announcement. What happens is they put OSD controls the basic broad agency announcement solicitation. And it's usually published 3 times a year. And they're usually denoted by the year that it's published in, and then it'll be followed either, if it's SBIR, it'll be followed by point 1, point 2, or point 3, which denotes where at in the year it's falling. So 20.1 was issued earlier this year. 20.2, we're getting ready to issue. OSD is getting ready to issue. And then 20.3 will be issued towards the tail end of the year. And a companion to that solicitation, the SBIR solicitation, is the Sttr solicitation. And you'll know the difference because those actually end in point A, point B, or point C. So, for example, over the next probably month or so, OSD will issue the 20.1 SBIR solicitation and the 20.B Sttr solicitation. They're issued at the same time. Normally, they're issued in what we call pre-release, which it's for 30 days. So OSD will say, okay, we're into pre-release. They'll tell you when they open it for pre-release. And the idea for pre-release is to give the offers or the companies time to just look at the solicitation, understand it. They have opportunities to ask questions. There's a site that you can, it's called, I think, CITUS. I can't remember what it stands for, but all of these instructions are in the solicitation. And so you can ask those questions during pre-release. Now, during pre-release, you cannot submit a proposal yet. Pre-release is really just helping you get to know what the solicitation is, what the requirements are, what kinds of solutions the government is looking for, and that gives you 30 days. Then after pre-release, we go into an open period. The open period starts on the day after pre-release ends, and you get 30 days. It's usually open for 30 days, and this is when you can submit your proposal to the solicitation. So the solicitation will tell you when pre-release starts, when it ends, when the open period starts, when it ends, and you have to have your proposal in by the date and the time designated in the solicitation. If you miss it, you cannot compete. And we are very, very strict on our timelines. So when you're actually submitting your proposal, you're submitting it to an OSD site. It's an automated site called DSIP. I can't remember what it stands for, but basically it's an automated proposal receipt site. And so you have to go into the site, you have to answer a ton of questions and follow the instructions. And as we all know, automated systems sometimes go down. And so I always tell companies, do not wait till the last minute to submit your proposal. Because if the site goes down, we do not consider that as an excuse to submit a late proposal. So I always tell companies, and even in the solicitation itself, it will say, please do not wait till the last minute to submit your proposal, because if it goes down, you're out of luck. Now, here's the nice thing about the SBIR program. If it goes down and you're out of luck, or you didn't get your proposal in enough time, you have 3 times a year to submit. You get another bite at the apple. So it doesn't mean you lost all chances. You'll just have to wait till the next solicitation comes out. And in this case, if we were going to 20.3, I think 20.3 comes out around August, September timeframe. So again, 3 times a year you have a chance. And sometimes we release out of cycle solicitations once in a while, not a lot, but we will. And we'll put that out there. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of in the Sttr program is the OSB solicitation, like I said, is the basic solicitation. When you go on their site to see the solicitation, you will see all these emblems at the bottom, and each emblem represents a DoD agency, and or not even a DoD agency, a federal agency. Actually, I think the federal agencies are different. It will be DoD agencies because you would see Air Force, Army, Navy, you would see DARPA, you would see some other defense agencies in there. You would click on that emblem, and that one will take you to the instructions for that component to the solicitation. And so, so if you're interested in providing a solution to the Air Force, you would go to the Air Force emblem, you would click on that, and it would automatically take you to the instructions which supplement the OSB solicitation, and you would follow the Air Force instructions to submit your proposal. And that is true for all of the defense agencies that have a SBIR program. On phase 0, one of the things that we've done is we've moved to what we call under this new program model. And again, it's still morphing, so it hasn't been fully vetted yet. But one of the things we've been experimenting on is an open innovation topic. And so in the past, where we've had specific technology topics that companies could provide proposals on, right now we run open innovation topics. There's good things and bad things to an open innovation topic. It gives us a lot of flexibility from your perspective. If you don't have, if we just put topics out there and your technology didn't fit any of those topics, you might not be as responsive to the solicitation. But on an open innovation topic, any topic is responsive to the solicitation because we're looking for every and all technical solutions. So that's the benefit of an open innovation topic. Again, we're still exploring that. So when you go to some of our solicitations in the Air Force, you will see primarily an open innovation topic, but you might see some specific technology topics as well identified in the Air Force instructions. So just be aware of that. Moving on to chart 9, this is where we have phase 1. The SBIR phase 1 is basically a feasibility study. What that is basically is the technology feasible to provide the solution to the Air Force. In the past, the period of performance on a phase 1 was up to about 9 months, and the award amount was up to about $250,000. The new program model is what we have is we are doing smaller phase 1s, which have 3-month period of performance, and they're being awarded at $50,000. And what we're looking for is not only the feasibility study, which is the most important part of the phase 1, but we're also looking for customer discovery. And customer discovery is where you basically as a company can go out to an Air Force customer and determine if that customer is interested in your technology, if they would be interested in taking it to a SBIR 2 and maybe even transitioning it beyond that. So what happens during customer discovery, a lot of you would go out into the Air Force and talk to Air Force customers, or you may already have an Air Force customer that has approached you expressing interest in your technology. And part of that customer discovery, that customer might come back and say, hey, I'm really interested in this, and I would be interested in doing what we call a memorandum of understanding to maybe put some non-SBIR money matching on a SBIR phase 2. Now, if you don't have that, if you don't have the ability to match or have a customer that comes and wants to match non-SBIR money, that doesn't mean you can't compete well in this program. You can still compete, you can still win a phase 1 or even a phase 2. Matching is not required. The only time it's required is if we're doing a SBIR phase 2B, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But for phase 1, phase 2s, I want to be very clear because there's been some confusion about this. Matching government funds or matching private funds are not required to get a SBIR in this program or a STR. So hopefully that clears that up for folks. Going on to chart 10. This is where we get into our phase 2 process, which is basically our demonstration phase, where we may be testing prototypes that are built or tested, typically in the old program model. And you will still find it with some of our more R&D type related SBIRs, early research type, what I call early research SBIRs that AFRL is doing. 24 months of period of performance. A typical award amount is up to $750, but it actually can be up to $1.5 million. Here's where I need to foot stomp. 1.5, there's a statutory threshold in the SBIR program, in the SBIR law, that basically says we can only award SBIR money funded with SBIR dollars up to $1.5 million. If it goes beyond $1.5 million, we have to go for a waiver to the Small Business Administration and ask for that. And so, and we have done that recently on what we call our STRAT-FI program, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But typically $750 up to $1.5. In the new program, I already talked a little bit about the matching funds process. So again, government and private investors can come in and match the SBIR funding on a SBIR phase 2. Again, it is not required. Whatever anybody else tells you, please know that this is not required for you to get a SBIR on this program. Some of the focus areas, you may have heard about pitch days, pitch events. So some of our PEOs or the TO, Program Executive Office, or the Technology Executive Officer, who is the AFRL-CC, they may have pitch events where they want to award SBIR 2s that are specifically focused on technology areas that they are very, very interested in. So you may have seen pitch events in the space area, in the cyber world, through those PEOs. And so if they're awarding contracts, SBIR contracts at that event, usually it's that PEO's contracting office that will be awarding them. If they're not awarding them at an event, then my office will award them on these things called sprints. And I'm going to talk about sprints in a minute. So, so that's sort of what the new process for SBIR phase 2. The difference between the new and the old is just in this matching funds process where the government is trying to leverage not only private funds, but more so the government funds. And what that's doing for us is it helping us transition beyond that SBIR phase 2, going in, helping you as a company transition to SBIR phase 3. We really want our Air Force customers to want this technology so much that they are going to now spend their own dollars. So the SBIR money is seeding them and getting that interest started with our Air Force customers. And then it proved, and the SBIR 2 proves it through prototypes or demos. And that customer now, the idea is we get the customer hooked so much that, okay, now I'm going to spend my own money. So I can either match it on the phase 2 or I can take it to a phase 3, which is ultimately where we want this program to go, is phase 3 into commercialization readiness program and that transition into dual use. So that's why we have sort of morphed this program back to the phase 2 where we have some of this matching. We're trying to bring our customer in earlier than they were before. In the past, what we've done is we'd award a bunch of SBIR 1s, we'd taken the SBIR 2s, and then the SBIR 2s would just sit there because no customers would be interested in. And you as a company would just sit there with a SBIR 2 and your technology might never transition. So in this new program, what we're trying to do is transition that technology, which is of great benefit to you because we want to give you more contracts, i.e. in a phase 3. Moving on to chart 11, we talked about these SBIR phase 2 plus. And so what a phase 2 plus is it's either two things. Simplistically, it's either a phase 2B, which is a modification, which I consider a modification to an existing SBIR phase 2 contract, or it could be a sequential, which is a new follow-on phase 2. So you could you would either be awarded an original SBIR phase 2, and then we might want to continue that technology into either a phase 2B, which would be a modification to that existing phase 2, or we might just go ahead and award a brand new SBIR phase 2 for the same technology. Again, all helping with that transition, helping that technology move forward and not sit and stagnate in the same place at a SBIR 2. And so this is one of those ways to do that. Again, this has to stay within that statutory funding threshold limit that I talked to you about, that 1.5. So if I awarded the original SBIR contract at $750,000 using SBIR money, then I could only award a SBIR 2B or a sequential SBIR for another $750 because it takes me up to that statutory threshold. Again, if I go over it, that's when I have to go and get a waiver. And all of our waivers have to be approved before the solicitation is released. So right now, the Air Force is running a pilot program. We started it this year, at the beginning of this year. It's called what we call Strat 5, strategic funding increases. What they are is they are super huge phase 2B modifications is what they are. So the requirement for a Strat 5 was 1:1:2 ratio. So that meant that if we had up to $15 million of SBIR money, then we could have up to $15 million required of non-SBIR funding matching from the government, and then another $30 million of private funding. In the current Strat 5s, this is just an example I'm showing you, but in the current Strat 5s, the minimum SBIR funding that was approved was $3 million, I believe, and there was, I think it went up to $6 million or something like that. So in effect, under this concept, the company could be awarded a $30 million modification with an additional $30 million of private funding. And so we are working probably, I think we have 21 of those that we're working. This year is the first year we're doing those. Again, this is another pilot program. So we're sort of learning through this, and if it goes well, we'll probably continue this to the next year. But again, it's in a pilot phase right now. Moving on to chart 12. Now we're ultimately at our SBIR 3. This is really, really in contracting in my group. Here's what we want to get to. We want to award our SBIR 1s and SBIR 2s really quick. We want to get them out the door, and we want to get our government customer hooked so that they're ready to take on the SBIR 3. So my office does not award SBIR 3s for the most part. SBIR 3s are where we're transitioning that technology into hardware, software, could be services. SBIR 3s are lovely, lovely vehicles. I love these vehicles because they can be any contract type. They are not competed because they're deriving from the SBIR phase 2, which the company has. And those SBIR data rights flow into the 3, so they're not competed with anybody else. That company gets the SBIR 3. They can use any type of money. We're not constrained to just research money. You can use O&M money. You can use production money. Any type of money can go on a SBIR 3. As a contracting person, they're the best instrument to work with because they're so flexible, and we can get stuff on contract really fast. What's really exciting to me right now is I'm seeing more and more of our government customers learning about SBIR Phase 3s and our contracting offices in the Air Force awarding SBIR Phase 3s. So what I said earlier is my office only awards and obligates SBIR money. SBIR money cannot be used on a SBIR Phase 3. The only dollars, all dollars can be obligated on a SBIR Phase 3 except for SBIR dollars. SBIR dollars are just ones and twos. Threes, SBIR Phase 3s are not awarded by my office because I only obligate SBIR dollars. And so what happens is when we're ready to go to a 3, we'll find the contracting officer or the company, or not the company, but the customer that has that supporting contracting office. My office will provide the policy guidance, the tools, the templates, anything that office needs to award that SBIR Phase 3 to the company. And then that contracting office will actually make that award. So over the last year, I've seen lots and lots of SBIR 3s pop up. And so that's a really good success story in my mind, because it means we're transitioning beyond that SBIR 2, which is where we've always struggled before to get that continue using those. Moving on to chart 16. Okay, the next few charts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into our sprints. So sprints were started a little over a year ago. And the idea behind sprints is just like they found. We go quick. We go quick in a very short period of time. So it started with some early initiatives, and the earliest sprint, which was actually a few months before I came on the program, was this first sprint, which was called 50 and 50. And so the goal was set to do 50 phase 1 awards in 50 days, which amounted to about $2.5 million. So we look back at these charts now, my team looks back at these and we laugh, because 50 awards in 50 days is really sort of funny, because that's sort of too long. But you know what? You always have to start the journey with one step, and this was their first step. And so they were successful. They did their 50 awards in 50 days. It was surely a lot faster than they would have been doing it up to that point. So again, a great first stop. Then after that, Dr. Roper, our senior acquisition executive up at the Pentagon, basically said, okay, you guys can do these 50 in 50 days. How about can you do them 50 in 50 hours? So again, the team, they said, okay, we're going to do it. And so they went out and they did actually 104 phase 1s in 50 hours. So they actually exceeded his goal. And then right after that, we had pitch day in New York City. Actually, there was another sprint before that, which I'm going to go to next. But pitch day in New York City was, you probably heard about it. There was a lot of press about it. They downloaded there was a process through the SBIR Solicitation. They eventually down selected to 60 proposals. They invited 59 companies, because one company had actually 2 proposals submitted on 2 different technologies. And at the event, they awarded 51 contracts. And the source selection teams were there. They provided the teams, and then at the tail end of the actual evaluation, which was a 15-minute panel discussion, that the company got up and provided their technology. And then the panel decided, gave them a thumbs up, a thumbs down. If they got the thumbs up, they were escorted out to another room where their contracting officer team was waiting. They awarded a contract, which was 1 page, and they paid the first payment using the government GPC card. And so that helped with some of that cash flow that I was talking about. We learned a lot from that. We learned some good things from that. We learned some not so good things from that, because it's one thing, as you all may know, to execute something really fast and go fast and do it. But then there's the rest of the story that comes after, i.e., how fast are we in making the payments afterwards? How fast are we administering that? And so there's always repercussions to things that you do. And so we experienced some repercussions on some of the things we did at New York City. Not anything insurmountable, but things that we needed to learn from. And so that's what we did. We took that stuff from New York City. And then, so the first sprint was what we call Probo 1. It was down in Austin, Texas in February, March of 2019. It was actually the week before the New York City pitch day. And what a sprint is we bring a group of people together, and those people are contracting folks, finance folks, we bring an attorney, and we have software engineers who help us with our contract writing system, and we bring our technical evaluators. We stick them all in a room for 5 days, and we award as many contracts as we can in those 5 days. And so this was our first real sprint that was awarding a lot of contracts in that 5 days. So our first sprint, we had 25 participants. We awarded 102 phase 1s, 49 phase 2s, and 5 OTs actually in 7 days that we did that. And so what we did is we actually were able to award all of those contracts 15 days from proposal submission to award. So when that solicitation closed, 15 days later, all of those were awarded. That is our ultimate goal, is to do that, because we understand as companies, your measurement is from the last day that solicitation closes. So when that solicitation closes, that's when my time starts for award. My time starts, and I'm like, okay, I got to get these awarded, because if I award them a year later, that's too late for you. That doesn't work for you as a company. So my goal for SBIR phase 1s is to award within 30 days of solicitation closing. You will see as we go through some of these charts, I've achieved that goal in some places, and some places I haven't. It depends on the timing and the time of the year. Obviously, when I get into holidays, I have problems with timing there, but my ultimate goal is to do an average of with 30 days after solicitation closing. This one was 15 days. It was great. The problem with this one is there was a lot of work that went in to achieve that. Something that I'm not sure is scalable. And so that's one of the things my team is working on too, is you can put a lot of effort into something and get it done quickly, but can you do that consistently time and time again, which is what we call scalability. And that's what I'm trying to balance is, okay, I need to get these done quickly, but I need to be able to scale that consistently across every single solicitation I put out there. And so going to the next chart, chart 18, Probo 2 was our next sprint. This sprint was our largest sprint ever. It was in Boston from July to August of 19. We had about 82 participants. We awarded about 452 awards. And the days from proposal submission to award was about 42 days. So it's about 12 days outside my 30-day goal, which is actually not too bad when you consider that in the past, it's 180 days. So 42 days down from 180 is pretty darn good, but still not quite within my goal yet. The reason why we were slower on this one, if you look at the numbers, the different things we awarded phase 1s, phase 2s, we awarded Sttrs, we awarded OTs. It was too much, but it was an experiment. And that's what an experiment is you just go out and do it and see what you can get out of it and learn from it, and then go down the path that works the best. So coming out of this sprint, we went to chart 19, which is what our next sprint was, what we call our Vegas sprint. Our Vegas sprint, out of the Boston sprint, because we were so much slower than what we had been before, we decided that we had bit off more than we can chew. And so what we did is we changed our sprint to only doing a sprint for SBIR phase 1s and doing a separate sprint towards SBIR phase 2s. So our first sprint after the Boston sprint was in Las Vegas. It was actually December, 9 through 13 December. There were 40 participants. We only awarded SBIR phase 1s, and we actually awarded the 360 phase 1s in 4 days instead of 5, which was phenomenal. The team did a phenomenal job. Now you'll see it was 50 days from proposal submission to award, which is still outside the time frame. But part of that is because I had Thanksgiving in there, and people take a lot of leave during the Thanksgiving holiday. And so I had to accommodate that with my team. And that's what I meant when I said it depends on when these sprints are falling. If they're falling during holidays, we got to figure that out still. So next one, chart 20. Between Las Vegas and San Antonio, which I'm going to talk about now, we had another sprint, which was here in Dayton, Ohio, and that sprint was to award actually just phase 2s. We didn't award as many phase 2s because we still didn't have our fiscal year 20 money yet, and so a lot of those phase 2s we wanted to award had to get shelved off, and we're still waiting to get those awarded. So back in March, about a month ago, we had another SBIR phase 1 sprint. San Antonio, it was actually our most successful sprint yet. We awarded broke a record. We awarded 463 phase 1s in 4 days. Some of our goals, again, our goal is always to decrease that award time. Get it, for SBIR 1s, it's under 30 days. For SBIR 2s, it's under 60 days. And we're working through that. Contract file documentation, records documentation is very important for a contracting officer to make sure our files are transparent and documented. And so one of the other things that I'm trying to do is document processes and especially lessons learned, what we learn out of these sprints. A sprint is useless if I don't take the lessons learned and apply it to the next sprint. Might as well not do sprints if I'm not going to do that. And so one of the big things we do out of every single sprint is the next day, the whole team meets and we talk about lessons learned, and then we pull that up and prep for the next sprint. And it's been very, very successful in helping us refine how our sprints work. We're still looking at streamlining acceptance and invoicing processes. I have a team right now that is working on a process that we can streamline and try to make sure that we get your payments on time and in a more timely manner. And then the last thing is what I'm trying to do is train my Air Force customers on how to do SBIR 3. So when it's time to transition that technology, there's an Air Force contracting office out there that can do the SBIR 3 with your company, and they're trained and they have the correct tools and templates to do that in a expedient manner. And then I believe that ends my presentation. I hope I didn't go too long. I tend to be a little chatty, so I apologize for that. My last chart there on chart 23 is some contact information, our Air Force Sttr website, and then my email address. If you have questions, you can email me a question. I will caveat that with I get a lot of emails all day long, and so if I don't answer you right away, please be patient with me, and I'll try to get back.
Mindy, we need to go back to my slide deck now. Okay. Do we see, oh dear, where am I? I think I've got too much open.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Are you seeing, are we seeing my slide deck?
Yes.
Okay. This is one of the times where it went into the, so if you have questions for Kim Yoder, I think Bill and I both think we're big fans of hers. She did a great job of presenting this to us earlier. I've heard this. I listened to this last night and cut and pasted to get what I felt like was parts that you guys would really want to hear. So some of the questions with Kevin earlier were spot on with what they're doing. Air Force is leading the way, and others are coming into trying to do what Air Force is doing. So it's a pretty cool program. So if you do have questions, please write them down, send them to me. I will collect them and send them to her, and we will certainly follow up at a time when she can join us again. So very quickly, we're going to go into our Encountering Innovation, a little bit of information we want to pass on. So those of you that are either tech coach with another state or clients, please listen up. We're going to answer a couple of questions, and if you've got some, hopefully we can answer them while you're on now. I'm not seeing who's on. Oh boy, I'm going blank with names. Mindy. So for some reason, my screen doesn't let me see our panelists. So I want to make sure Vicki and Bill are on for part of this. So it's coming up in just a second. So I want to remind you that our deadlines for the Bluff are today. The reason why we're asking you to edit your Bluff, this doesn't mean you can't ever edit it again. Thank you. That popped up again. It's amazing. The reason why we're asking for an edited Bluff and a deadline today is because we're socializing these. We got DefenseWorks passing on 2017, 18, and 19 Bluffs. If you go to Encountering Innovation's website, we now have all of the last 3 years in categories, and now we will have 2020s on, and we need that in order to get the tech scouts and possibly the PEOs and PMs. Kim Yoder talked about those a while ago. DefenseWorks is working on bringing the PEOs and PMs. The only way that's going to work is if he knows what bluffs are coming, then he'll socialize those, and hopefully we'll get them. We are requesting that the PEOs and PMs, DefenseWorks, join us during the networking and demonstration portion, your poster board and your demonstration portion at the end of the day. So from 3 to 6 p.m. So for those of you that are on or maybe on that are poster board only, this is why I keep telling you, if you're a poster board only because of your TRL or your time to commercialization, that doesn't mean you're relegated to a lower position. The most important people are the ones that are going to be in the demo networking session. That's where your poster board is. So we're trying to help you understand. We're doing our best to get the right people to see you. So Bluff statements today, whatever you have, we're going to socialize those. That doesn't mean we can't change them. So just helping you understand what we have and editing. Number 2, your September 4th is the deadline for your quad chart and your information paper that's in your OneDrive, and then your pitch deck September the 9th. Also, this link is live, so when we send you the send you the PowerPoint, you can register for the conference through this link on our PowerPoint. Your registration is highly encouraged by August the 31st because the host, Johnson County, is going to be giving you access to where you can start setting up, understanding the platform, and being able to move around the platform. It's not complicated, but it's more than just a piece of paper. It's an online platform utilizing Zoom as part of that. Vicki, if you or Mindy will be looking for questions, because I know we're running, I've got a hard break coming up for NASA, so I'm going to keep going. I want to run through what the first question I have, so I'm just going to keep running for just a second, and then we can pause. But if you'll be watching for the best questions, I'm sorry, I just know that we got the NASA event at 1:30, so I got to get there. So in your OneDrive folder, you should have your quad chart, your information paper, your pitch deck, and your poster board from your answers. So these are what we've mapped to those 4 documents. Beyond that, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize I can't change it right now. There we go. So if you need to see me. So your 4 documents, also you have, Vicki, they do have the point of contact form in their folder?
Yes, the
Okay.
template is in their folder.
Okay, so there's a question, Vicki, and I'm hoping you can answer this. I'm a little confused. So we had a client ask us about understanding the point of contact document, and I threw this in while we were live, so I didn't have a chance to look. But they wanted to know from the left side to the right side, are they supposed to fill one side and leave the other side for the instructions, or how are they supposed to do this? I'm going to turn it over to you.
They fill out just one side. So in this particular example, what I would say is just the way they've got it done now. Fill out the information. This is fine the way it looks right now.
Okay. All right. And I know that for those of you that are wondering, our point of contacts is a form that we've not required up front before, but we're asking for it now. And what we're asking for is point of contacts outside your company. Every year after the conference is over, it's a surprise. Our tech scouts want to know every significant point of contact you've had in case, as they're connecting the dots, preparing to socialize you, that they can reach back out and talk to your point of contact with your Navy Phase 1 SBIR, or your, and Kevin Kowalik with HCI's example, with his Navy or his Air Force. If you've worked with any key contact that you think is significant, this is like your references on a resume or a job application. Those of you that say that's invasive, I would not dare share that with a tech scout. That's fine. Don't. That doesn't mean that they can move forward or feel comfortable moving forward, but you got to look at this as more of a referral. They're putting their reputation on the line to refer you. So for whatever reason they want the point of contacts you've worked with, it's up to you to decide how comfortable you feel answering those. So anyway, just wanted to point that out as well. These next few slides are really for your information because we have people asking, and so whether you've seen it before or not, this is where you can set up your demo. So these are live links and the instructions. We talked about that earlier. Your pitch prep, and we have Bijou and Barbara, I think, are both on. So I wanted to point this out. And so if you guys can, Mindy, can you unmute Barbara and Bijou for a second? Are you able to do that?
Yes, just a moment.
Okay. We have our first set of pitch practices next week. Will we have more? We will do our best to have that, but our resources are thin and we're doing a lot of different work along with the conference. So if you want to pitch practice, for those of you that are not in Texas or Oklahoma, we highly recommend you sign up, whether you're ready or not. Come in and get your first practice done. It will be a big benefit to you to get them done. So Bijou, I see that you're live. Can you tell us if you guys got your information out where your clients know when your pitch practice is?
Yes, they do. So what we've done is we've set up links and time slots through next week for our clients to sign up. So it's an ongoing activity. It went live yesterday. So we've had people sign up and we still have our slot. So it should be, it's good to go. So just find a slot that works for you and sign up. Great.
Barbara, same with you. You're muted if you're trying to talk. Man, she may not be where she could talk. Okay, well, once again, we just wanted to remind both of you, all of you that are in one of the other states in Texas and Oklahoma, we have direct support working with our clients there, so that's great news. The app applying now, if you know of anyone, I've left that slide in because sure as the world, I take it out and somebody goes, we've got a poster board we want to apply for. So we're leaving it in there for you. Reminder of what's coming, this slide, we talked about it, I won't share that. Let's look at questions right quick. I know it seems like we had a few. I sent what questions I felt like were for Kevin. I sent forward to him. He dropped off. He will be one of our panelists. at the Encountering Innovation. I highly recommend talking and getting with Kevin, EMP Shield, and others that have been successful. Those are always good for us. Let's see if we can. Vicki, have you been able to read questions to see?
I have. I responded to one. There was a question on, is it just on the POC document due today? Is it just the Bluff statement or the entire document? Just the Bluff statement right now. And then there was a question, do we just place that updated Bluff statement in the folder or email it to me? You can do it definitely in the folder. If you'd like to email it to me, you can.
The Bluff you're talking about the Bluff statement?
Yes, the POC
Okay.
Bluff part.
Yeah.
It's uploaded into the OneDrive folder. I am going out and checking those regularly. And then question, when will the Bluff statements go live on the website? That's
a Mindy, I'm going to say that's a Mindy question. Mindy, if you can answer that.
I mean, as soon as I get all of the Bluffs, then I can start getting them up. So it's really from the time that I get them, I can probably have them on the website within a week.
Ooh. Is there a way you can get them sooner?
The sooner I can get the Bluffs,
sure,
then the sooner I can get them on the website.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. Whatever we have by end of business today, or we will send to you to where you have them by Monday morning. So whatever we get together, and we'll have them in categories like we do, then we'll send to you to where if someone's late, then they're just not on there for now. Folks, the reason why is what we just talked about. It's really what we're learning is that these Bluffs make a big difference with certain tech scouts. So the sooner we can get them, the sooner they can prepare to being at the conference. So that's great. Not to put you on the spot anymore, just clarification. Thank you. Another question someone's asking about the 9-minute pitch. Says also, can we use pre-recorded video, or does the pitch video need to be live? I will answer it this way. The biggest insult to our tech scouts is a video that is a canned presentation because you don't want to talk. That's the best way I can put that. And Bijou, you or Barbara, if you guys are there, if you want to speak up, you're more than welcome to. My point with this is we've had people that will come to the conference to pitch, to explain. That's why I don't like calling it pitch. It's a presentation of information, and then it's the collaboration of that presentation in the next 9 minutes. We are altering, by the way, we're going to alter that. It's going to be 972, if you will. It's what we're doing is we're discovering that our tech scouts, in order to help you, they need time to talk to themselves about who's going to do what. So we're squeezing down in that last 2 minutes is going to be their time in that confirmation of who's doing what. We're squeezing that into that 2-minute period, which means then your 9 and 9 are your is your total time with our virtual. It works better. But your 9 minutes of presentation should not include a video unless it's for clarification of your information. If it's just sorry, but I'm going to pretend I'm doing the video. And it's this whiz bang cool stuff. And we see this marketing video. I promise you, your marketing video irritates them. I've never seen it work yet where a marketing video embedded in your presentation goes well with the tech scouts later. If it's information, and it's informative, we're taking this and it's now moving and you're doing something to explain, they go, okay, we get it. That's informative, but marketing video is not. Bijou, does that sound right?
Yes, it does. In fact, one of the things we tell our clients here in Texas is, this is not a trade show. And that is what I think a lot of people think it is. And I said, this is an event for you to learn from the DoD Tech Scouts how you need to morph your innovation to be more responsive to what they want.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity to learn and socialize, and you need to approach it from a very personalized point of view, and a video takes away from that. So, so that's how we.
Great. I'm glad you actually used the word trade. Thank you. I was going to say, and I'm sorry, I'm really got the 1:30 break. But one of the things Bijou did say that we are going to probably say, no, it actually is. And that is our virtual conference this year, compliments of Johnson County Community College as our host, doing a great job. You will, and we will show you this in the next week or two. So you will see ahead of time, which is why it's so important that you register by August 31st. They're doing an upload of all the innovators to get you access to your booth. In your booth, in your location, you will be able to put your videos. So if you have a trade show type of marketing video, that's where you want to put it, because we're going to do our best, and hopefully Bijou, Barbara, and others, if we can attract more of the venture capital types that are looking, they can get to this conference. They don't have to work on traveling to get there. They will be able to see your trade videos, if you will, your trade show videos, and you will have a place where those can fit. And that's at your booth. So that's more to come. So great put. Do we have any other questions, Vicki, that we need to answer?
We do. Let's see, confirm the 9 minutes to pitch. That's yes. And then is the pitch practice for Tech Warrior meeting or Encountering Innovation event?
The pitch practice is for the Encountering Innovation. You don't need to practice to go to Tech Warrior. Tech Warrior is your teammate. Their job is to, John said it earlier, and he said it to me, so I don't know if he said it when he was live, but folks, your demonstration with Tech Warrior is a informative presentation demo. It is not a pitch, and it's not supposed to be to talk about who you are, your history. It truly is pure demo. What is this? What is it supposed to do for you? What is it supposed to do for the warfighter, for your targeted benefit? Who is that it's benefiting, and how is that? So no, it's not you do not need to practice to go see Tech Warrior.
Alan, I have a slight comment over there. One of the things, I think you should talk to your tech coach on your prior meeting to the Tech Warriors, because I think you could use some overall guidelines on how best to present your content to Tech Warriors so you get maximum impact from that meet. But it's very much on a case-by-case basis, and depending on whether the client has any experience describing it. I mean, what we noticed with some clients is they feel that they are presenting to Tech Warriors, and that takes away from the engagement. You're not presenting, you are collaborating, like Alan pointed out, and trying to learn. So it's very important that you get your content presented in a manner that they can provide feedback. So I'll stop.
So excellent point. I will say, and Bijou kind of touched on it. Thank you, Bijou. This is also precious time. The Tech Warrior enterprise is doing stuff for us and with us on behalf of Air Force SBIR and on behalf of you as the innovator. The last thing you want to do is show up like, oh, was that today? I've seen that happen in New York. And you want to backfire on what you're doing. Show someone how little you've done to prepare and how little you actually care about their time. And that can backfire severely. So please don't do that. When I tell you it's collaborative and you need to see them as a teammate, I'm not saying don't prepare. I'm saying don't get freaked out and don't try to pitch. This is a collaborative demonstration where you can understand better. That's what that is. So thank you, Bijou. Good point. And does anyone need to be notified after uploading to the OneDrive, or just uploading sufficient? Vicki, does when they upload, do you get an email automated?
I don't get an email automatically. I have been going out and checking those. What would be helpful is to get a notification by email when you've uploaded your final documents.
Okay, great question. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. That was a good question. This is our first year using OneDrive for this purpose, and so we may fail to make a note of something that makes sense. So thank you for that. Okay, folks, it's 1:27. I got to give you the final slide because some of you may want to. We have NASA's Kira Blackwell from Washington, D.C. Doing our deep dive SBIR training. It's Train the Trainer, Train the SBDC Advisors. That's right now. If you had registration from last week, this one is different because our platform is a little different this week. So you've got to go with this link. If you don't have it, Mindy, are you able to put that in the chat or some way like you did last week?
Yeah, actually, I can just put the